reach our overall goal of being net zero by 2040. Recent news has come out, which Neil Sloper shared with us, that within the Climate Emergency UK scorecard, we have gone from right at the bottom, okay, being out of 164 councils, being point blank the last ones, to being able to recently being scored to 96. Okay, so that just shows the effort that HDC has put in across the board, whether it's facilities, whether it's through our public services and our fleets as well. Okay, so council's key priorities is first off is decarbonising our fleets. Okay, then we're looking at reducing our energy, okay, and shifting to renewable. So whenever our energy contracts come up, we're looking at the different suppliers and what renewable energy percentage we can use. And as I've already mentioned, we want to aim to be net zero by 2040. So everything that we are doing within HDC is aiming for that goal. Next slide, please. So who's supporting us? What do we have to help support us? As I'm sure you can appreciate, okay, there's a lot of people asking for a lot of money. Okay, so we are very lucky that we have schemes available to us to use. Salix, which you may have heard of, is managing the pots, okay, through the recycling scheme. We've been part of the Salix recycling scheme since 2010, and within that time we've been able to offer our facilities a variety of projects to help us decarbonise and save our energy. So within our One Leisure sites where we are today, we've been able to fund having pool covers, okay, reducing our heating costs. We've been able to install air handling units, and then within our main offices as well, we've been able to replace our lighting. In Eastfield House, all our lighting is LEDs now. We are very fortunate we have some up and coming projects within HDC. One of them is LED lighting installation at Pathfinder House, which will be happening in the next month, which is really exciting. And in addition to that, we are currently working with a local company and looking at decarbonising 3 of our other sites, getting the plans and drawings. So again, there's a lot of prospects coming on, which is going to help decarbonise our facilities. I'm now going to hand over to Matt. Okay, there's 2 projects that we want to discuss with you and make you aware of what we've already done to help achieve our net zero by 2040.
Thank you, Kerry. So effectively, as Kerry's explained, we are from the Facilities Management Department and we look after the buildings within HDC. We've been very fortunate a few years ago to receive some funding from the public sector decarbonisation scheme of about £3.9 million, which enabled us to degas one of our leisure centres, One Leisure Ramsey, which we'll come on to, and there's a little banner over there I'll just refer you to for that one, as well as half degas Pathfinder House. I'll come on to that bit a little bit later. But basically we wanted to run through our slides with you really in terms of our processes and then share the outcomes with you. So obviously, first of all, to be able to look at where we were going to place our efforts, we needed to complete the site surveys. So we worked with some contractors who went round, were able to look at all of our One Leisure sites. They looked at Pathfinder House, Eastfield House, our depot site. We work with sports pavilions, we've got a couple of bus stations within our portfolio. So we completed a site survey across those and looked at what was eligible for the funding. We came back with a couple of sites which were One Leisure Ramsey as well as Pathfinder House. So from that, we were able to look at estimate costs. So how much do we think it's going to cost us to complete the energy saving measures and decarbonisation measures that we wanted to achieve? Fortunately, with the public sector decarbonisation scheme number 1, it was 100% funded. So we didn't need to look at any internal funding for that. It was purely just hours from our team dedicating that to the project. We worked with our consultant in terms of the application. Now, the application process, for some reason, does work on a first come, first served basis. So applications that we put in do need to be ready to submit literally as soon as they open. That's just the way they're run at the moment. Whether that changes in the future, I'm not too sure, but fortunately we were awarded the funding, which is the next step. So we then need to look at procurement. So as I'm sure you know, everybody in the room probably when they're looking does have procurement measures to follow. So we need to make sure that we procure it properly and actually make sure that we can get what we require on budget. As I've said, this one was 100% funded, so we really needed to make sure that from our estimates we were able to deliver what we needed to. Then it came to the delivery, so obviously within that we needed to engage with sites. We'll use One Leisure Ramsey particularly in this one. Is part of the process is the land that we completed works on belonged to 3 different people. So Cambridge County Council, HDC, as well as the school land. So we needed to make sure that within our planning process that we'd consulted all the relevant ownership, as well as ensuring that leases were amended and things like that. So it can be quite a detailed process to be able to complete that. Obviously communication with the contractors in terms of, obviously we were working on a school site at Ramsey, so that had its own challenges with deliveries, noise, so we had to make sure that we were fully in communication. And then obviously that includes our partners that we work with. And then that leads us to the completion, which the projects were approximately about a year long in total, and they did run inside with each other. So timings was difficult at times, but we got there in the end. So effectively what I'm just going to run through now is some of the items that we included within those decarbonisation. So we've got One Leisure Ramsey first. Removal of all gas services. So that was our prime aim, and that is where we get the funding from. So the first public sector decarbonisation scheme that we actually bid for, you got £500 back per carbon tonne saved over the lifetime of the project. So removal of gas, without that, there wouldn't have been any funding. So that was our main aim there. As part of that, we had 2 new air source heat pumps that feed, obviously, heating of the swimming pool, the communal areas, as well as being able to cool. So we have got heating and cooling air source heat pumps. We installed LED lighting throughout. Double glazed windows. The standard now is triple glazed as we've come on a couple of years. So that's something that we're looking at. Installation of roofs. So all the roofs were overlaid with new insulation, as well as replacing the sports hall roof with a new one at the time. External cladding and cavity wall insulation. It's not only about the big ticket items. There is CO2 to be saved and energy to be saved through some of the smaller items, such as the cavity wall insulation. Now, what we've got there is our building management system, which is kind of the brains of everything. So it's all good and well to have all of these items, but if you're not managing the system that you've got, it can soon get out of control. So we do have a building management system where we're able to set everything on time clocks. We've got the temperatures set as we need to. Obviously that alarms us should we have any problems. So all the site have been trained on how to use it and what they need to do if any faults arise. Just with regards to the Ramsey project, it's our first year following installation. We say 400,000 kilowatts of usage at that site, which equated to approximately 215 CO2 tonnes into the environment. So one project we are particularly proud of. Here's a couple of pictures that we've just got on there. So we've got the LED lighting, as you can see. And then we've got a heat recovery air handling system there for the swimming pool changing rooms. Top left is the new air handling unit that heats the swimming pool area. And then we've got a couple of pictures there of our air source heat pumps and buffer vessels where we take our energy from through the hot water. Moving on to the Pathfinder House, I'm sure you all probably have seen it on the ring road in Huntingdon. So there we were, due to the bidding process and the time frames around it, we did bid primarily to degas the Civic Suite. So the Civic Suite has been degassed, but Pathfinder House, the main building itself, still runs on gas, but I'll come on to that shortly. We were able to replace all of our air handling units, which are accompanied by 2 air source heat pumps. We replaced our ICT chillers as they had aged, and there was a much better, more efficient option available to us. Again, upgraded the building management system, and we did a partial LED lighting refit with the remainder of the funding. And as Kerry mentioned, over the next few weeks, we are due to have all of the lighting completed. So a couple of pictures there. So we've got a new air handling unit and our air source heat pump on the roof, as well as the chillers being installed. As you can see here, this is the picture on the right there attracted the most attention, which was the crane that we had to install all of the equipment on the roofs. So it's good to see actual work in action. And obviously one of the challenges for both projects was to ensure that buildings remained operational at the time. So this was during COVID, so we had to make sure that we still had the relevant airflows in the building, the right changeover. So that was particularly challenging, but we did get there in the end. So that's 2 projects that we've completed successfully. And what's next really? So as Kerry touched on, we do use government funding. We recently got awarded £266,000 through the Low Carbon Skills Fund, which is government funded, where we've been able to take into consideration the Pathfinder House, the remainder, One Leisure Huntingdon dry side, as well as Eastfield House, where we were able to have some drawings completed, as well as a design package and pricing put together, so we can look to bid for the next round of PSDS funding, which is coming up, likely around September next year, but we want to be in a really good position to do that. The other main project that we're looking at is more solar power. So we are fortunate enough to have solar on a number of our sites already. Eastfield House being the main system, where we've got a 228 kilowatt system, which produces around 160,000 kilowatts per year and averages about 150 CO2 tonnes saving per year. So we are looking to we've engaged with a contractor, we've had some indicative drawings put together and some pricing put together. Primarily, if we can look at going onto the roof, we can see paybacks because of our energy usage within 2 to 3 years. If we need to look at car park canopies, because either the roofs are going to need a replacement within that 20-25 year lifespan of the panels, then we might look at solar. Canopies out in the car parks, but that probably takes the payback down to around 10 years. So they're kind of our up and coming projects really that we are working on. That draws me to a close. And we've just got one last slide, Kerry. We are running a workshop later, and Kerry's just going to quickly run through what we've got within that.
Thanks, Matt. So for those that are booked into our workshop, we have also invited our Home Energy Officer, Amber, to support us. So as well as discussing the facility side, we've also got the opportunity to discuss the domestic side. So therefore, you'll then be able to support your communities, businesses, etc., which will be good. So how we're going to do it is we'll just set the scene. We've got a little Slido quiz, so make sure your smartphones are all charged up because you're going to need those. If not, we can help you with that. And then a Q&A opportunity as well. And we really would like your engagement on what you can help us with to help HDC, what ideas you have, but also then sit back and reflect on what you're doing and how you can help reduce your carbon output as well. Other than that, thank you ever so much for the time. It's been a great opportunity to be here to speak to you all, and thank you all for coming.